everybody, Melissa Sorrentino here. I'm chiming in with my divorce diary. I don't really want to talk super personally about my divorce. I'm sort of past a point where I'm doing that anymore. And just really quickly and briefly, I want to say I might be past the point where I even want to do these videos anymore, because I'm entering a chapter where I'm realizing that I don't need to explain anything. And you know, my goal was never to teach anybody anything. Really, my goal, honestly, my goal was I was fucking lonely, didn't have a job, felt horrible, felt unsexy, unlovable, everything. And I was just like, I got to do something to reach out because I'm not leaving the house. So, you know, like I made about a month of videos when I had like pajama bottoms on and just changed my shirt. And I didn't post any of those, but finally I got to a point where I was ready to post them. That's my little backstory. Anyhow, but I want to talk about something because I've been a little on the dating scene now. It's been, you know, it's pushing, like, it's going to be moving toward the 3rd year since I've been divorced. It's been 2.5 years, 2.5 plus a month. So 2 years and 7 months since the official divorce date. Although, you know, my husband and I had been drifting probably, I would say, what do you think, Penny? Like 2 years prior to that for sure. We were like in separate bedrooms for like a year and a half. So, anyhow, I'm pretty far down this path is what I'm trying to say, of being like single again. So I have noticed that things have changed a lot in the last, you know, I mean, I haven't been on the dating scene in like 20 years. So I'm noticing so many differences and so many things. I think, I mean, people think like, oh, the world's going downhill. I think in a lot of ways it's going up. And particularly, I think like, you know, the LGBT community is like, so refreshing, and the fact that it's just more out, like, you know, just on normal TV, and like everybody's talking about, you know, people being able to get married, and it's like open. You don't have to feel weird even like after church on a Sunday talking about how your two friends who happen to both be, you know, men or happen to both be girls just got married the other day. And so that's like really changed something, I think, in the entire dynamic. That's my point of view. Obviously, you know, the internet stuff, the social media stuff, I mean, none of that existed when I was on the dating scene. So things have changed. And one of the things that's really, really changed is the concept of commitment. And I understand, and I know as somebody who's like divorced, I feel almost like why would anybody want to hear my point of view? I'm a fail, you know. But I was with my ex for, you know, 18 and a half years or something was the duration of our entire relationship. And we were married for almost 13 of those. Now, if you're looking around and you know somebody that's been married for 22 years, that doesn't mean they're going to be married at 23 years. You know, these things happen. And a lot of people get divorced in their 40s and 50s now. Things are changing. And in a lot of ways, it's exploding and opening up. But for me, there's a couple things that I still think are beautiful. And I kind of don't want to see them just completely chucked to the curb like they're garbage. Commitment and like... I had like a little sticky note, but I didn't put it up. Commitment is the big one. And I guess like loyalty, that sort of thing, you know. But to me, this speaks less to relationship and more to discipline. Now, if you're with a person and you make them a promise you're not going to like fuck somebody else, it takes discipline to not fuck somebody else, especially if you're drunk and you're a 50-something man and some young girl is fawning all over you. Gonna be a little bit hard if she's just like, you know, pursuing you to say no. Vice versa with the other sex or whatever, you know, sexual preference you've got going on. If you commit to a partner, then you cheat on that partner, they will feel betrayed. That's just fucking normal. Everybody across the board is going to feel that way. Now, if you don't feel betrayed, that might have something to do with your own esteem, that you don't feel that you need to be respected. Of course, I'm talking about in a commitment that's been verbalized, okay? Verbal contract. basically. But there's something that you can go, okay, well, I know the cure for that. Don't make a commitment. That way, when you guys sleep with other people, it's going to be totally fine and everybody's happy and all's well and right in the world. And I really am ambivalently struggling with that in my mind, because I've had people in my history that I like maybe dated or something, and if that person had stepped out on me, I'd be like, oh, that's okay. Now, for me, that usually meant that I was less attracted to them than they were to me. I might have been like, go, be free. Kind of want you to go. Kind of like, you're not my like number one. For me, when someone's my number one, it's just automatic that I'm faithful. That's just how I am, because it's like I'm just not attracted to anybody else. It's kind of like, you go to a buffet and your favorite food is on the buffet and you take a little taste and you're like, it's prepared the way I love it. It's the best thing there. Why am I going to go and have some like grimy old hot dog bites that are crusty and have been sitting under the light all day long, when like my very favorite, chicken piccata with lemon and wine sauce is right there? Like, why even look at this scoop of hot dog and be like, get that off the buffet? I'm not even going to notice. So that's how I feel when somebody when I'm really into somebody. And I think that's probably pretty natural or normal. But there might be some people, they want variety. So I'm not going to go there. But I do want to just sort of put out there like an analogy for something that I thought of. And it's a pretty obvious analogy. But I really just kind of want to put this out into the ether. We treat financial contracts with so much more respect than love contracts and relationships. We'll treat a mortgage better than we'll treat our spouse or our boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner. And it's like, you don't sign a contract for a mortgage for a house and then just not pay for a couple of months. And then when the bank calls you and says, yo, you didn't pay June and July, you don't go, well, actually, I saw another house that I really liked, and I just like put my, my sleeping bag in there, and I actually slept there for 60 days, so I gave them the money. And then the bank's going to be like, well, what the fuck? And you know why? Because they're going to be like, that house was vacant. I could have had another renter come in for those 60 days so that I could have reaped my investment back, because we had a commitment. So to me, there's a level of relationship that you absolutely cannot get to without crossing the commitment threshold. And the reason I feel this way is because, I'm not going to go to the reason. I just think I'm going to go back to the analogy. If you rent an apartment, you will not treat that place with the same dignity, respect, and investment level as you will a mortgage. Now, I'm not saying necessarily, like, I'm a good renter. I'm a fabulous renter. When I rented my apartment, when I left that shit hole that I was living in LA, it was still a shithole, but it was a little less shitty. I had painted a few things, I had replaced a few things, I had done some things. Plus, I had put almost no mileage, because everything that I had done to, put wear and tear, I had kept clean and kept maintained. So, other than just the natural aging process of the wood and the carpeting and the plaster, which is outside of my control, and that is the burden of the mortgage holder, which was the, landlord. Other than that, I, as the renter, took very good care of my place. However, there was a line of commitment I wasn't going to cross. I was not going to hire a contractor and completely renovate the house and invest, apartment it was. I wasn't going to invest $25,000. People in San Francisco and New York who spend a shit ton and know they're never going to be landowners, they actually do shit like that with their rentals. But, my grimy old cockroach house, I was not gonna renovate it, make it the most fabulous apartment in their building when I'm, basically like in a slumlord situation. I wouldn't do that. You know why? No commitment level. I wasn't gonna reap the what? ROI. And we all talk about ROI in terms of finances, but what about with our hearts? So I now, and I'm very smart, and you know who I'm talking about. No. Hi, see you tonight. Anyway, but there is a dude that I kind of see, and I just fucking kind of see this dude, and that is it. I will not cross that line. I will not invest more than the dude's investing. And I will not invest more than I see is going to be a future ROI down the road. You know why? Because there's a lot more I'm keeping in the savings over here on my end that I am not going to just throw away. I spent a lifetime building up who I am, what I'm about, my discipline, my cleanliness, my promptness. Well, if you know me, I'm not super prompt, but I'm pretty fucking dependable. I mean, I might be 10 and 15 minutes late, which, speaking of which, I have a lunch date, but I might be a little bit late, but I'm going to show up. Everyone knows that. And I'm working on the lateness. I will hold responsibility. But even that, just that right there, all that is me. And if I'm going to bring this to the table, you better be bringing that. You know what I'm saying? And if both of you are bringing that and you are both mortgage holders, then you're not one person that owns a house and one person that's renting a room. And to me, in sort of the biblical sense, because there's a line of scripture that talks about that your spouse and you should be equally yoked. I feel that way in like a very general way. People talk about it in terms of religion, but that's not what it says. It just says you should be equally yoked. And I think you should be, similar in intellect, similar in sex drive, similar in, whatever ways are important to you and whatever ways are important to your partner. So for me, I'm putting it out there, dedication and commitment, loyalty. I don't want to go to bed at night with a little one eye open thinking maybe I'll get betrayed today, and the last 5 years that I've invested in this person is all going to just go to some other fucking broad who just showed up. And then you know what? A year later when he's tired of her, he's going to come back to me. Hell no. I would have rented that room to a better renter, and so on and so forth. And I'm hoping to find someone that wants to rent to own. So that's my goal. That's all I have to say on that, you guys. God bless you. If you're in the beginning of your divorce process, trust me, it gets better. Mwah. I love you. Take care. Bye.